Alright guys, we're going to be doing a tier list based off of how hard every single champion in League of Legends is. I don't want to trigger people, but this comment section is going to be ridiculous no matter what. But as someone who's been playing the game for 11 years since it literally came out, and has followed the pro scene, been challenger, I feel like I have a pretty good opinion. Regardless, I'm actually so hyped for the comments on this one. So we're going to go down the list A to Z. This one should have every single champion, including Gwen. So let's start off with Aatrox. I'm going to put him at gold plus only. He's got some very clear mechanics, but not that many. I don't think anyone can play him because he's got some skill shots. He's got a lot of combo synergy, but I don't necessarily think he's very hard because he doesn't have that much. He doesn't have that much to him. Now, next up we have Ahri. Pretty much the same exact reasoning. I think she's got a lot of combos and mechanics to her, but not that many. And I feel like she's relatively safe to play because of her ults. She's got a charm. She's got good wave clear. I think that gold plus is pretty fair for her because I don't think you're going to be playing her well. If you're not gold plus, you're going to miss your charms, and it's going to be, I don't know about that one. I don't know about that one. Now, next up, Akali. Guess where I'm going to put her? No, I'm just kidding. This is literally pros only, and I don't mean that in that you guys shouldn't play her, but I mean her in the fact that she is so incredibly hard to play with a few other champions. It's not going to be just Akali, but she's so incredibly hard to play because you have to min-max all of your passive procs to maintain your energy. You have to know when to engage one ult into the wrong enemy spell, and you're just going to die instantly. She is really, really hard to play. And it's not just me saying this as a biased one trick, it's literally every challenger tier list I've seen. And if you don't think so, you know, maybe you think she's an easy noob champion just like Katarina. I don't know what to tell you. Once you get out of silver, let me know and we'll talk about it. Oh my gosh, this comment's gonna be great. This is gonna be a great comment section. Okay, next up we have Alistar. He's hard to play for sure. But I don't think he has actually that many mechanics. I think anyone can succeed with him. He's got a total of like one really essential mechanic, the WQ, and Riot even like updated him to make it a lot easier not too long ago. So I think anyone can pretty much play Alistar. I'm gonna leave it at that. But with that in mind, there are really, really good allies out there, and he is a good champion to main if you want to. But if you want to know which champions to main, I have a tier list for that on my channel too. Anyways, moving on, the sad mummy. I'm sorry, Amumu mains, but I mean, if you have a good reason to play this champion, let me know. But like literally, what does he do? I feel like I could play him with my left toe and still succeed because he genuinely doesn't have a single mechanic. And no, pressing auto attack and then ulting is not a mechanic to get your passive on them. Don't say that. That's not fair. Yeah, he's a noob champion. But you know what? If you're a noob or if you like him, good for you. Next up we have well, eventually. Next up we have Anivia, a very complex champion. But I don't want to put her at pros only because I've seen so many plat and diamond Anivias do really well with her. I think she has a lot of stuff because even just like throwing your stun out and then walling to make the enemy path into that stun, or just knowing how to use her wall in general or your combos, she is a hard champion to play. Not something I would ever pick up unless I had a lot of time. Next up, Annie. There's literally a meme about her for being for noobs. If you're a new player, you play Annie. I agree with that. I think she's for noobs. She's for noobs. But you know what? Anyone can play her. I think I'm more happy to put her at anyone can play her. Because, you know, she actually has, like, she's good in high elo. Amumu, not good. Leave that in iron, please, okay? Leave that in iron. Alright. Next up we have Ophelios. And I'm going to put him at very hard because he has a lot of mechanics to him. And I don't think your potential is realized on a champion like Ophelios until you play him like 50 games or something, maybe like 25 games plus. Whereas Ahri, I think 10 games, you're gold plus. Yeah, you'll do good. You'll do good with her. Next up, Ashe. Anyone can play her. She is very, very easy. But honestly, 80 carries, the thing about them is I would never put them in reserve for iron players because they just like, unless I'm missing an 80 carry, I think they're just all essentially they're all hard to play because of how AD carries work, but not because of how our kit works. Aurelion Sol is going to be somewhere between very hard and gold plus but I personally haven't played him that much. But I know he requires a certain type of champion. I'm not a certain type of player, but I'm not necessarily sure that those types of players that play him are like some, like, you know, goated mechanical wizards. Anyways, we're gonna put him at that and call it a day. Now Azir. Some people don't realize this, but he is literally one of the hardest champions to play in League of Legends. His shuffles, all of his combos, and the way he plays in lane, the way he plays in team fights. He's essentially an AD carry that can engage, is very squishy, lots and lots of things you have to be good at and keeping track of at the same time to maximize your potential on him. And now we got Bard. I would say, honestly, I want to say anyone can play Bard, but between roaming, but that's not really a mechanic or how hard he is to play. Gold plus only. I'm gonna put him at gold plus only because he does have a good amount of mechanics, and like more so just game sense in general. But he's pretty hard to play in the sense of knowing the exact range on your abilities, comboing your ult plus your Q, not messing up your ult is a big one. Anyways, we'll call it a day on that one. Blitzcrank, anyone can play him. Anyone can play him. Anyone can play him. Yeah, you don't have to be a genius to land a hook and then press E. You don't have to be a genius to fly and to run into enemies and press R. Yeah, that looks good to me. All right, Brand. I honestly think Gold Plus is good on this one. I think Gold Plus is good. He's got a good amount of mechanics. I can tell you right now, especially after he's updated to bounce his ult off of himself, I think that he is not easy. He's got all skill shots as well, minus his E, and your E has a mechanic that goes with it. You want to make sure you don't, there's some stuff to it. Braum, I will put at, I think anyone can play him, but I would say you shouldn't play him until you're at gold plus. But somewhere in this range, because I feel like Bard and Braum belong pretty similarly, because he's like, we'll just leave him there. All right, Caitlyn, anyone can play. I know she's got like a few mechanics to her, mostly with her E plus trap or EQ, but you watch like a 30-second clip on Caitlyn mechanics and voila, you're good at the champion. That's not saying that she doesn't have a crazy high skill cap, but I think that you can reach almost the skill ceiling. You're not exactly going to touch the roof, but you're going to get pretty close to the best you can get at the champion very quickly. Now, we've got Camille. Next up, I want to say she is probably gold plus only. I would put her at very hard, but I don't think she's as hard as people think. I just don't think she's as picked as she could be. That's my opinion. Next up is Cassio. I feel like she is a very hard champion to play. I actually do think so. She's got the mechanics of kiting back and forward as an AD carry would, but with her E instead of her autos. And she does have a few mechanics and game sense things you have to know with her W and whatnot. So, yeah, very hard is good with me. Cho'gath, I mean, I just don't like. I want to fill this up with a few spots, and I really do think that Cho'gath is such a silly champion. And if you play him, that's cool. And I don't want to I'm not no flame towards any Cho'gath players. Maybe the two of you that exist. I just don't think that he's really got much to him. His skill shots are really slow. You kind of have to be like a noob to get hit by them. Yeah, I'm gonna put him at reserve for Iron players. I don't. This is like an exaggeration, but only a little bit. Next up, we have Corki. I want to put him at probably anyone can play him. Maybe he's got that one package engage that you might mess up if you're a noob. But other than that, he's pretty simple. He's got a Q, he's got an E. There's not really skill shots involved other than his ult, so I won't put him at anyone can play. Darius, also, I think Gold Plus plays him well on difficulty, but I feel like anyone can play Darius and do pretty well. I think he's a low elo stomper, so we'll put him at anyone can play. Diana, definitely going to put her at gold plus only. She's pretty much the epitome of gold plus only. She's got a few mechanics. Yeah, she's got a few mechanics to her. And I think you can mess it up a lot if you're not relatively decent at the game. Draven, I'm going to put him at very hard because I think a lot of people might not realize how difficult he is to play, but juggling 2 axes and microing in the middle of a team fight to make sure you don't get caught out or die can be very, very difficult. And one mistake and you're screwed. I think he's a really hard champion to play that doesn't get credit, but that's honestly my opinion. Next up, Mundo Rework. This guy is literally the definition of a noob champion. Yeah, noob champion. He was a really good rework. Very good for new players, I would say. I think Mundo's a really good champion if you're trying to learn top lane. Just play him and get the fundamentals down. Echo is going to be, I want to say, very hard because he has a lot of stuff to him that people don't think about, and the way he plays is pretty crazy. There's a ton of stuff that no one knows about, and I know it might be crazy to put him up here, but I truly believe it. Elise, also very hard, incredibly... I might even put her pros only since it dropped there, but no, but she does have a lot of mechanics to her, especially since she has, like, 6 abilities instead of 4. Or 7 rather, since you got to count her transformations. I think Kalista is deserving of there. Evelyn, very hard as well. Her combos might not be hard, but her game sense, the way you play her, is difficult as heck. And if you're not good at her, you will absolutely just feed your butt off every single game. Every single game. But if you're good at Evelyn, you will get so fed every single game. So yeah, I like her. If I were to jungle, like learn jungle and like get good at it, I would so play Evelyn because she's so underrated. Anyways, Ezreal is going to be gold plus for an 80 carry. He's got a lot of action to him, lots of Q autos, lots of spells thrown out. I don't think they're necessarily hard to hit. All his abilities shoot up pretty fast. So gold plus is pretty good for him right there. Now we've got Fiddlesticks. I think anyone can play him, honestly. He's somewhere in the middle between anyone can play and gold plus. He's got essentially like maybe 2 or 3 mechanics to him, but you just get to level 6, you press your ult, and then you throw your spells out in the middle of your ult. Maybe you proto belt at one point. That's pretty much it though. Gold for Fiora now. Fiora is a tricky one because she has constant mechanics you have to keep out for, like constant. I want to put her at gold plus, but I think she's on the higher end of gold plus, I would say. So we'll leave her there. Fizz, yeah, I think anyone can play Fizz. He's so straightforward. Galio, I think he's like, I think gold plus is where you should play him, but really, I'm gonna put anyone can play for Galio. I think gold plus is when he starts doing well, but I do think anyone can pretty much play him and do well. So, Gangplank, absolutely very hard. The amount of mechanics that champion has is nuts, literally nuts. Like, nope, no, not for me. He's really hard. He's not like the hardest champion with all these micro crazy mechanics, but you're not gonna do well with him unless you practice him a lot. And he's risky, high risk, high reward type champion. And then Garen, one of my literal best friends is Garen main, the Glacier. I'm sorry, I love you, Anthony. Dude, I'm sorry, but Garen just doesn't have any mechanics, and he's a good champion to play until like Diamond, but he is so easy that okay, we're just gonna leave it at that. Next up we have Gnar, definitely a gold plus champion. You need to know how to succeed in lane to poke and then engage, and all the while being squishy in the early game before you get some tankiness. And if you're not pretty decent at the game, and you don't practice him, you will not. He's not the type of champion that'll do well unless you practice him. So, and same with Gragas, gold plus only. Don't think he's the hardest champion in the game. He has a few pretty cool mechanics where you flash E, or your E flash, then you RQ, just hit all your spells at the same exact time, but not the craziest. Moving on to Graves, I haven't played much of him. I think a lot of people would say he's very hard, but from what I've played, I don't think he's crazy. I think even his jungling isn't that ridiculous. You watch one video on how to jungle with Graves and you're good to go. I'm going to leave it at that, but this one I'm not so sure on. Hecarim is definitely going to be gold only. He's got maybe not. Maybe we can put him anyone can play, but I'm gonna leave him gold only because the fact of the matter is that there's some stuff to him, like making sure your Q stacks are up and all that. I think he's not the easiest champion, and your engages, your R plus E combos and whatnot. Now Heimerdinger, I think anyone can play him pretty well. At the end of the day, you're just setting down your turrets and then trying to hit whoever runs into you with your E, and then you throw W's throughout in lane. I think anyone can play him pretty well. Yeah. Moving on to Alawi. I know this champion is not easy. Definitely it's not a champion you play first time and do well. Got some mechanics to it, and that it's going to be gold plus only. And Irelia, it's definitely somewhere between very hard and pros only. I think she's just very hard. I think you can play her. You can master her as like a gold 1 player and be pretty freaking good at her. But she is so hard to play. Ivern, anyone can play. Probably gold only. He's got some stuff to him. Janna for sure. Anyone can play. I don't. Maybe you can flash ult and throw people behind you and then Q them. That's cool. That's the only mechanic. So we'll leave it at that. Jarvan, I think anyone can play him as well. He's got an EQ combo, EQR, but other than that, he is very straightforward and not much to him. Jax is kind of. I think Jax is going to be gold. I want to say Jax is a little bit more difficult than anyone can play because he has a lot of stuff you have to manage between your stacks and your spacing and your cooldowns. I feel like anyone can play him, but you're not going to do well with him unless you're decent at the game. I think that's safe to say. Next up, Jace is going to be either gold plus only or very hard, depending on the way you look at it. I think that you can play him pretty well, just being pretty good at the game, but he's pretty freaking hard to play. But I don't think he deserves one of the spots up here. I don't. Next up, we got Jhin. A little bit more difficult than most AD carries, so I'm going to put him at gold plus only. On the other hand, we have Jinx, who is pretty simple, straightforward. Anyone can have success with him. Kaiser, this is tough because she's so popular in high elo right now. But at the end of the day, how hard is she really? She's got maybe a few things you have to keep in mind with playing her, like a W flash. You've got the range of your ult to escape situations. But at the end of the day, she's not anyone can play her, but I feel like she's a little bit too hard for that. Kalista as well, I think she is either very hard or gold plus. She's just got a lot to her, a lot. And honestly, I've always had a built-in respect for Kalista and Draven mains, just because I feel like they are underappreciated on how hard their champion is. Next up, Karma. Anyone can play this champion. There's really not much to her. You read her abilities once, you're good to go. Karthus, very hard. The reason being is if you suck at him, you are just free gold. I love going against Karthus. Karthus whenever I play against him, I get super fed unless I'm going against a good one and I get dumpstered. Knowing how to space and kite people with your Q, and knowing how to bait them into the isolation damage and the ults and all that stuff, Karthus is a very, very hard champion that I would never recommend new players play. Never. But at the same time, he doesn't have that many mechanics, so I'm not putting it at the top. Kassadin is gold plus only. Pretty simple. Don't feed before don't feed until, you know, like level 11, get some tankiness, and then enjoy rampaging until you're level 16, then you just auto win. And yeah, I don't think he's really too crazy hard. On the other hand, we do have Katarina, which is somewhere between very hard and pros only. I want to lean towards pros only because it is somewhere in the same realm of mechanical difficulty as Akali. I think Akali is slightly more difficult in general, but it's hard to say, and they're pretty much identical. So I'll put her at pros only. Next up we have Kale, and anyone can play this champion. Yeah, that's it. That's literally it for this champion. I got nothing to say. She's so simple. Kane, gold plus only, absolutely. His kit might seem straightforward, but between knowing how to not feed to get your form, knowing how to use your E effectively, and then comboing, he has got some stuff to him. And if there was a tier list, if there was a section between gold plus and very hard, I would put him there. Same with Kennen. He is not a champion you can pick up and have success immediately. If you're a noob, I think that he is relatively difficult, but not insane. Just because, you know, the way you play the lane is very strategic, methodical, and then you have to know how to transition into the assassin, flanking position, flash in, do some crazy stuff in the mid and late game. And then we've got Kha'Zix. I'm going to put him at gold plus only as well. He is not a champion you want to play if you are new to the game. You're just going to get eaten alive or squished like a bug, some might say. So yeah, we'll leave it at that. Definitely a hardish champion to play. Same with Kindred. Kindred might actually be somewhere around very hard because I might put him at very hard because of the amount of difficulty he is, and not many people play him because of how hard he is, I think. He's an 80 carry in the jungle position. No, he's gold plus. I don't think he's that difficult. But Kled, on the other hand, is difficult, guys. Kled is very difficult and very rewarding. He is literally the definition of cheese. If you get good on Kled, if you get good on Kled, you're literally just gonna like hop on your mount when you're both 2 HP, and then you get a triple kill. And he's always the champion I've wanted to play. I don't think I'll ever practice him because I don't have the time to like main someone else. But Kled's something else, man. Next up we have Kog'ma, who is definitely going to get a respectable spot at very hard because of the way how difficult it is to kite with him. He has no escape spells. He has literally nothing. He has a small slow. That's literally it. You have to position perfectly. You have to be very good at kiting back and forth, or attack moving, as they say, where you click the enemy and then you're backing up. You're like literally, it's like you're running away while attacking, but you can't even stop to move. It's just instantaneous. So next up we have LeBlanc, and this is going to be, I want to say anyone can play her, but you're not going to play her well because managing her chains and her clone enough, it's hard enough. I think she's a good champion you can pick up though. Actually, I'm going to put her anyone can play her. I would, if there was somewhere in between, I would do it, and she might be kind of difficult actually. No, I'm going to put her at gold plus only because she doesn't deserve to be in the same tier list as Annie, I don't think. Lee Sin, very hard confirmed. Very, very hard champion to main. I might even put him at pro only. I might change this in a bit, but I think Lee Sin is very deserving of a extremely high tier spot for pretty obvious reasons. But if it's not obvious, just you are flying yourself into the enemy team in the most effective way possible to get kills, and he is a whole nother breed of champion in terms of mechanical difficulty, just like these champions. So we'll leave him at that. Leona, anyone can play Leona. Honestly, she's pretty tanky. She's easy. She very straightforward. Yeah, anyone can also play Lissandra. This is a common champion that if you were just trying to get like carried into a rank and you're like in over your head, you just play Lissandra because she's so safe. She can be useful still. She's got good wave clear, but there's nothing really crazy about her. There's no insane mechanics or anything. Next up we have Lucian. He is one of the few AD carries that has a high intensity of, in team fights, you got to know what you're doing. I think he's gold plus only, for sure. Then we got Lulu. I feel like anyone can play her. But if we're going to put Karma and John on this tier list, then I'm going to put Lulu a little bit higher because she's not quite as easy. I hate playing against her, so I don't want to give her any credit. But no, she's a pretty difficult champion to main in comparison to your good old Karma, your Karmas and your Jannas. Next up, we have Lux. I want to put her at reserve for Iron players, but that'd be me being salty. Anyone can play her. I don't see any crazy mechanic. Actually, she really doesn't have a single mechanic. She's got some combos for sure. She's got some combos to get, multiple passive procs, but anyone can play Lux truly. But on the other hand, Malphite is quite literally, if we're talking difficulty, he is reserved for Iron players. It's the same as Amumu. And you know what? I'm not saying you should only play him if you're Iron. I know that's exactly what this says, but in terms of difficulty, it just doesn't get much easier than Malphite, truly. Like, your lane could not be more dumbed down. Your role in team fights could not be more dumbed down. I feel like I'm getting dumber just thinking about how to play him. Anyways, let's move on. Malzahar is going to be gold plus. He's got a lot of difficulty to him. I think if anyone, actually, no, let's put him here. I was gonna put him at gold plus only, because if you don't know what you're doing, you're gonna end up dying really quickly. You're like a slow, immobile champion. But I think honestly, I don't think there's enough I don't think there's anything to him. Like, you got one setup, like you put your dot on him, you throw your E out, you put your Voidlings out, and then you just use your ult. I think it's pretty linear in how you play him, so I think anyone can play him. Same with Malphite. I think anyone can pretty much play him. So I'm just going to leave it at that. Master Yi. This is a really funny one because this is one of the most discussed difficulty champions. Some people say that Master Yi is the hardest champion in League of Legends because of how intense his micro is, right? Your 5.0 attack speed. You have to really, really be good at clicking. Not to mention your auto W auto. And your Q to dodge turret shots and spells. But then some people say he's so easy because you just right click and press Q. Honestly, I lean way more towards he's very hard because higher rank or whatever. And if you're like a low rank player and you agreed with what I said about him being an Iron player, you understand that it's just because that's, like, you can get to a skill ceiling pretty quickly. You can get really good at Master and get fed and carry as a complete noob. He is an extremely high skill cap champion, just because of the way his kit is built. But you know what? If you don't agree with me, or you do, leave a comment. Actually, let me know where you'd rate Mastery, honestly. I feel like some people might even put him at pros only. A lot of people will probably put him at reserved for Iron. Whatever. Mastery, or Misfortune, anyone can play her. She's pretty straightforward, honestly. Starter. She's literally one of the starter champions in the tutorial for League of Legends, so kind of says something. Mordekaiser, after, I mean, he got reworked, and then he's really not that hard. I want to say anyone can play him. Yeah, I'm gonna say anyone can play him. Morgana, I also think anyone can play Morgana. Honestly, you might not be setting up the best ultimates, but anyone can play her. Nami, probably going to be gold plus only. Her bubble is simply too hard to land and combo, and then your W on yourself versus the enemies. It's close. All the supports are pretty easy to play, I'm not gonna lie, but yeah, actually not all of them. A lot of them are easy to play. Nasus is going to be anyone can play. You might not play him well. There's not much to him though. Let's be real. Nautilus is going to be gold plus only. I think he is one of the champions that actually has a bit to him. Whether you be, literally, I mean, most 90% of the people play him support. I think he's got some stuff to him. and I don't think you'll do well if you're just playing him for the first time. I think he's got a little bit too much. Nico is very hard to play. This champion has 80 carry aspects. You need to know how to like use your clone properly and switch champions. Very good game sense is required to play her very well. And then knowing when to flash in as a squishy AP mage, you literally flash into the enemy team and drop a whole ass nuke. So that is hard, and she's very hard. Nidalee, either gold plus or very hard, but I'm gonna put her at very hard as well because she takes a lot to succeed. Game sense, mechanics, sniping with your skill shots, or your Q rather, and then knowing when to fly in, and then also kiting back is a big part of Nidalee, staying just outside of range to hit your stuff and jump in when you need. But yeah, Nocturne is going to be, I think anyone can play him pretty much. He's a pretty straightforward champion. Nunu, on the other hand, is gold plus. I know a lot of people might think Nunu is an easy champion, but he is a little bit more difficult than you'd think. I think a lot of people don't really realize how hard he can be based off of just doing the right angles for your snowball and knowing when to jump in, and there's a bit to him. I'm not making a good case for it though. Olaf is, I think, gold plus as well. I don't see him being the most difficult champion in the world. He's got some pop-off potential, but at the end of the day, the mechanics aren't really there. The sniping is there with your consistent Qs, but the mechanics aren't there. Orianna is somewhere on the range of very hard and gold only, but I'm going to put her at very hard because she used to be one of the hard champions before like Akali got reworked, and she was up there with like the old Katarina and whatnot because people give a lot of respect to her ball, but I don't give her that much respect. I think gold is good enough. Really, how much is there to her? Ornn is probably one of the harder tanks to play. Actually, he really is. Once again, I'd probably put him in the between gold plus and very hard. But yeah, that doesn't exist. Pantheon, not easy. He's got a little bit too much to say he's an easy champion, so we'll put him at gold plus. Poppy, Poppy's got a little bit too much, I think, as well. So I'll put her at gold plus as well. Pyke is definitely very hard to play. At a decent or a high level, he is a full AD champion that flies enemy team. Immediately, that makes the champion harder if you're a squishy champion that jumps into enemies. And then not to mention everything else, all the combos you can do. You can ult in and then use your Q to fly the enemies into you. You can ult in and then stun them. There's a lot of mechanics Pyke has to get good at to succeed with him. Kiana, pros only. This is one of the easier ones to choose from. She simply is she is like if Akali and Katarina and the elements all had a big baby together. She is very, very hard. She is very, very hard. The situations you'll get yourself into are endless, just like Akali, and for that reason, she gets a spot up here. Quinn is, on the other hand, yeah, that's a gold plus maybe. Maybe even anyone can play. He's got like, he's really not that hard to play, but he's got something to him. I don't know. He's got a few mechanics to him, especially if you put Prowler's Claw into the mix. He's got a bit, so I'll put him there. Rakan, on the other hand, is going to be. I want to say he's one of the hardest supports to play, but how much value do we put on like a WR or like an RW? We can't really make it like as hard as like playing like Irelia. Yeah, I don't know about that. Actually, I feel like Irelia is better off on this spot than the rest. Now I think about it, because I'm looking at all these champions, they seem pretty similar in skill difficulty, but Irelia is just something else. So I'll change that. Rammus is the new version of Rammus is gold only. Yeah, no, Q in, ult in. I think anyone can play Rammus, honestly. We'll leave it at that. Rek'Sai, definitely, he's a hard gold plus only champion. He's got some stuff to him, Nothing crazy, but definitely he's going to take a little bit of practice. Renekton, well, Renekton doesn't want to move, so Renekton, there you go, good. Renekton also gold only. Don't really see too many crazy mechanics to him. You can cancel a lot of animations with Renekton if you're like, if you take the time to study how to do it. But at the end of the day, he's like pretty straightforward, right? You just like you dash, you Q, you W. But it's like very linear, and it's not like they don't set up. You can't really like do some crazy stuff with him. Yeah, he's not that hard. All right, Rengar on the other hand is very hard. Just the fundamentals on how you play his Shroud game, or not Shroud, his Brush game, and all of the above. The jungling, the mechanics, the managing your Fury, crazy champion. I love that champion. Riven also, I feel like Riven deserves a spot in pros only, just like Irelia. She'd be in the, I think she's a little bit easier than like the few like hardest champions, but she's probably like top 5 hardest champions. She can cancel every animation pretty much on her spells. She can combo all of them together at the end, and she also is just so high intensity that the skill ceiling on how good you can get is so high that she is a really good one-trick champion. Rumble, I'm putting him at gold plus only. I think some people have difficulty landing his ult. I get it, but at the end of the day, that's kind of like it's just a weird thing that some people don't get, but most people do. And past that, there's really not much to him. I think his ult is respectably difficult, but it's really not that crazy. IMO, in my opinion. Now we have Mr. Rise, and that champion has a lot of intensity without the animation cancels of Riven. So I think he deserves a spot in very hard for sure. He's not easy in the slightest. It takes a lot of practice. But then again, maybe next month this Rise will have been reworked, because he's been reworked 10 times in the past 5 years. So we'll see. We'll see what the next iteration brings us. Sejuani, gold plus only. She's got some mechanics to her. You've got to hit an essential skill shot. She's got a few skill shots actually. Well, one of them is not really a skill shot per se, but you got to aim well. You got to do a good job being an engager. And I think playing engaging champions, like just tanks that engage, is a little bit underappreciated. Because if you do it too early, you're going to die or mess up, waste your combos. If you do it too late, your entire team dies. So I want to give some appreciation to engagement champions as well. Or engaging champions. I don't think engagements is the right word, unless they're getting married. Anyways, now we have Senna, gold only for sure. She's got a lot of stuff to her. You need map awareness for her ult. You got to drop that ward and then use your Q on it to get some snipes. You got to, use your E at the right time. You got to make sure you can snipe with your W. It's a really, really slow skill shot. That stun thingy, ugh, terrible. The slow on is very slow. And then next up we have Set. Honestly, I think if I were to put him in tier list, he'd be at the top. He's really, really good. But in terms of difficulty, what do you really do most of the time? You auto Q, or you auto Q, you hit twice with that, and then you like E. But the thing is, you do have to like take damage intentionally, and then you're ulting in. I'm gonna put him at very hard, but I really would prefer to put him down here, I think. I don't think Set deserves to be at very hard. I don't think he is. I think no, he's hard. He's really hard. Okay, we'll leave it there. Shaco, very hard to play well. You could play him as a noob, but now even then, no, just jungle pathing with boxes is its own art. Then knowing how to play in certain situations, like ulting and then queuing, and then there's just so many mind games and so much like trickery with Shaco or Shaco, however you say it, that he is a very hard champion to play well. I will give full credit to that. Next up we have Shen. He's got a few mechanics to him, and a shout out to Xpet too. I love you, brother. But at the end of the day, I don't think he's the most mechanically intensive champion. In fact, I don't think he has many mechanics at all. But he is not a champion you can pick up and start carrying with, and he's got a much higher skill ceiling than a lot of people would think. And if you get good with Shen, you can literally solo kill people, as I've seen with Xpetu, who is a Shen main. But yeah, I think it's a good spot for him. Now we've got Shyvana, or Shyvana. I feel like anyone can play her, but you're not going to play her well until Gold Plus, simply because of the way you have to fly yourself in and manage your Fury, and just she's really, just explaining it makes me think anyone can play her pretty well. I don't really understand. The difficulty of her is really not there. She's got auto Qs. That's a mechanic. But other than that, like, what does she really do that's difficult? Yeah, I'm sure anyone can play. I'm just trying to be realistic. Singed as well. I think anyone can play him. Yeah, anyone can play him. There's not much to him. You can throw your bubbles out and then fling people into it. And there's an argument to be made for the difficulty of proxy Singed playing, like the macro to that. But really, no one's doing that anymore. So, if that's not a thing, and your biggest and only mechanic is fling into bubbles, okay, then anyone can play him. Same with, actually, I think Sion's like so simple in theory, but he's not that easy. I think if you look at the champion for his abilities only, then he's so simple, anyone can play him. But I feel like the way he plays out is so much more methodical, strategic than you'd think when you watch it being done in person. Not to mention that drift and that ult, and there's a lot to him. You like little small things too, just like holding your Q for a little bit longer, going to the brush with your Q, sniping minions from far away, etc. With your E. All right, let's move on to Sivir. Yeah, she auto W Qs. She doesn't have a real escape. I'm gonna give her a little bit of respect and put her in Gold Plus, because you do auto W a lot, and you have to try and snipe pretty well, and you do have to spell shield well, otherwise you are going to get clapped. So yeah, we'll leave it at that. Skarner, Gold as well. He's not really the simplest champion. He's got a few fun mechanics to him, that those little things on the map, knowing how to do the infinite stun combo, etc., etc. Sona, on the other hand, aka Seraphine's twin, is going to be anyone can play. She's got an ultimate. It shoots out really fast, though. It's got a decent range, so really anyone can use it. And I think she's a very basic champion, to be honest with you. Soraka as well. I would put Soraka a little bit higher than Sona, but still in the anyone can play realm. She's got a cool little skill shot now. She's got that silence. But at the end of the day, you know what? I'm gonna give her a lot more credit than, because ever since she got reworked, she's a little bit more difficult to play. I don't think she deserves to be in the same realm as Sona. Next up we have Swain, Gold Plus only. I think that's a pretty fair place to put him. Nothing too crazy about him, but you do have that E, and you know how to use your ult well. I could see a bad Swain just completely. I could see him feeding really, really quickly, really, really easily. Sylas is very hard, confirmed a very, very hard champion. I don't necessarily know if he's pros only, because I've seen so many players pick him up and quickly do well. I don't think he's got something insane combo mechanics to combo each other into, or abilities to combo into. But he is a very, very hard champion, and you do have to have a very good game sense to know all the ultimates. Which, actually that's not that crazy. I feel like anyone that's like literally Silver 1 or better would know all the ultimates. But regardless, let's move past that. Syndra, I don't think she's as hard as a lot of people might think. I feel like you get the hang of her pretty quickly, and I feel like I could pick up Syndra and be good at her in 3 to 5 games. So I'll leave it at that. Tom Kench, I'm going to put it post rework, because I think the rework actually came to live servers a few days ago. So I think he's like, I want to say he's like very hard to play. I really do. But he's got like a lot. He's got a lot of mechanics, but I'll put him at gold plus only. Same thing. It's like I still feel like I could, and I actually did the very first time I played him. I picked him up for the first time and just did really well. I think that's not something that should be possible in this list. I feel like you shouldn't be able to pick up anyone in very hard for your first time and do well. Maybe minus Master E, but I gave a good reason for him earlier. Talia, I want to say this is probably going to be pros only because of the consistent kiting. Definitely on the lower end of this section, but once again, it's not someone you're going to be able to pick up very easily. She's got a lot of stuff to her, like maintaining the rocks on the floor. A lot of stuff to her. She's a pretty hard champion for sure. Compared to these champions, she's definitely, I'd say she's harder than almost all of them. Next up, we have Talon. I want to say he is very hard as well, but somewhere he's also on the lower end next to Talia, I would say. He's got a lot of stuff to him that can help you get better and better over time. So you're not going to be able to like master him like very quickly. And I think that's a good enough reason to just have him up there. Yeah, leave him up there. Taric. Yeah, anyone can play him. Teemo. I mean, my intro for most of my edited videos is just me slicing Teemo in half. So I would BM this, but I'm gonna put him at anyone can play because I think he can do really, really well in high elo, but I don't think there are many mechanics that would make him. I feel like you could pick him up and do really well, just because he doesn't have much to him. All right, next up we have Thresh. This is definitely one of the hardest supports to play, so I'm gonna put him at very hard. And the reason being, I mean, if you've ever watched a good Thresh play, I think it's pretty obvious, but you fly in with your Q while you have your lantern out to make your teammate fly with you. You can engage very well as a support and you can just roam. Oh man, everything about Thresh is very hard and very rewarding. Tristana, I would say anyone can play, but she does have reset mechanics, and that alone and knowing when to use your ult and not mess it up makes her a little bit more difficult than the rest of these champions. So I'm going to leave her at that. Trundle, on the other hand, I feel like anyone can play this champion. I don't see any reason why not. You got autos and Qs. That's cool. That's literally it. Tryndamere, I want to say Tryndamere. So the thing about Tryndamere is in the same reason we picked Master Yi very high up. Being an auto attack champion is extremely underrated, and because of how difficult it is, you really have to know your limits to the max, and not to mention, like, your game sense has to be top notch when you're playing a champion like Tryndamere because he split pushes a lot. I don't think I could ever put him in very hard though, because he simply doesn't have enough mechanics. But I definitely think that he is a solid champion that I would put him at gold plus. Twisted Fate, on the other hand, is very hard because he's got a few mechanics to him: wave clearing really quickly, pulling out the right card, but most importantly, using your playing the lane properly on Twisted Fate and using your ult to the best of your ability. This champion's skill ceiling is enormous for such a straightforward champion. Like, right, there's nothing crazy about him. You don't have these crazy comboing. You don't throw your W and then Zig's ult comes out of your hat. It's literally as simple as just like throw cards. But yet here he is. He's literally one of the hardest champions. Twitch as well, very hard to play. No escapes. I don't count his invisibility as an escape. Nope. But in the right hands, playing with high attack speed and using your ultimate, you can 1v5 Penta, clean an entire enemy team in just a few seconds. But if you pop out of your invisibility at any spot but the right spot, you die instantly. Not to mention the timing. Twitch is a very hard champion to play well. Kiting is everything on that champion, and kiting is literally the hardest mechanic in League of Legends. Straightforward. It's just like auto attack kiting is so hard. Anyone can play Udyr. He's super simple. There's really nothing to him in my opinion. Urgot, gold plus only. Got a few mechanics, and don't think he's too crazy hard. He's pretty straightforward, but it's going to take some time to master. Not in a little bit of time. Varus, I want to say anyone can play him, but I don't really like having him in the same tier list as Ashe, but I don't want him any higher at the same time. I'm going to leave him there. Yeah, he's really straightforward at the end of the day. He's got a few skill shots, but that's it. Vayne, on the other hand, is a lot shorter range. She is consistently flying in and behind enemy teams with her invisibility, and for that reason, I think she is one of the hardest AD carries, but once again, one of the most rewarding. If you see like the trend here, I think Draven, Twitch, Vayne, they're so rewarding to play, like very well. They're very hard, but you can carry so much harder with them than a champion like Ashe. I feel like, yeah, and I don't know where Kaiser is. I think I brought Kaiser pretty low. I feel like Vayne is kind of just the harder version of Kaiser, but you know, it is what it is. I hope Kaiser's somewhere up here, just below Vayne. But if she's down here, I'm gonna be a little. I just genuinely can't find her anymore. I'm not gonna lie. So let's move on. Okay. Damn, I really want to find her. All right. Okay. Oh, she's there. Oh, she's there. Oh, perfect. All right. Veigar. I haven't filled this spot up lately, so I'm thinking about doing it for Viagra. He is so sillily easy. Is really nothing to him. Not a single mechanic to be found in his kit. Quite literally, he's got like he's got a stun. He's got no combos. I'm not gonna BM Veigar just like Amumu and Malphite or these guys, but he's such an easy champion. No, I'll put him here. I wanted to fill this with more spots, but I don't know. All right, Vel'Koz is very hard to play in my opinion. The way he combos, his combos are very difficult. He is very squishy, so you have to always stay back. And knowing when to use your ult as well. Sometimes you have to just trust that your Q is going to hit and then go in for an ult quickly, as you see at the highest level of Vel'Koz play. And I feel good about him being here because while a lot of people can pick him up pretty quickly, and you might be in that gold plus range, I think he can succeed very hard. He can succeed if you're very good at him, like a little bit like at the same level of these champions, but very low. So he'd probably be somewhere in the middle of these, honestly. Next up we have Victor. Not the craziest champion to play, but definitely has some stuff to him. Mini Rumble ult on his E, which is that's just like it's a nightmare for a lot of people. Like in some people's heads it just doesn't click. That like mechanic, that like, you know, 0.1, 0.2 laser. But I mean, past that is really not too much to him. He's got like relatively short range, so you do have to like know what you're doing and have good game sense and all that. But I don't feel comfortable putting him any higher. Same with same with Vi rather. Just she's got some stuff to her. She is squishy, so I give her a lot of credit. Well, a lot of them actually build Bruiser, but there's really not much to her. She's very straightforward. You can master her in about 3 games. Then next up we have Vladimir. This is a spot where I actually am so lost. Not so lost, but somewhere between very hard and gold plus only. In the comments, let me know what you guys would put him. Where would you put Vladimir? Because he's got some stuff to him for sure. He's pretty intense. And like, he's got a really high skill gap as well that a lot of people don't know about. But like, is he really that hard? Is it really that hard to press R and then like, I don't think it is. Damn it, I want to put him up here then, like right next to it, just so he can touch it. It's somewhere close. We have the new Volibear. Excuse me, Riot. Wait, actually, Riot's not in charge of this website. All right, we have the new Volibear. Definitely going to be a hard champion. I want to put him like somewhere up here, not like pretty close to very hard, but at the end of the day, I don't think there's too much to him. And a big thing about these champions is a lot of them have like, they might have a little bit of mechanics to them, but they're also like someone like Volibear or Sejuani, or just, they're very safe picks. If you don't mess up in lane, like the fact that you're so tanky, like you can step forward a little bit in a team fight and not get one shot for it. So that's something that I keep in mind as well. So we'll leave it at that. Warwick, he doesn't have a single mechanic to him. Actually, he does have like one. I've trash talked Warwick in my last tier list, and a lot of people didn't like that. And to me, I thought it was hilarious. But if we're being completely realistic, anyone can play him. He's got a bit of a skill ceiling that people don't see, but really not much at all, So we'll leave it at that. Next up, we have Wukong. I feel like he is somewhere in the middle between Gold Plus and Very Hard, because of the you have to have a really good game sense to play him. Truly, make sure he can like escape very well, but he can also combo roll. I'm gonna put him at Gold Plus only, but I'm gonna put him up here pretty high, as I think it's deserved. Xayah is going to be Gold Plus only as well. There's actually some mechanical skill you have to have for this champion to play her well. Not to mention she can do some pretty crazy engages or do some crazy turnaround outplays if you use your feathers right. So leave it at that. Xerath, Gold Plus only as well. Pretty straightforward, but you are also very squishy, and everything you have is a skill shot. So we'll leave it at that. Xin Zhao, I'm going off of the new one that can like fly from a mile away. Gold Plus only, because he does have a few mechanics. He does go pretty squishy, but I wouldn't feel good about putting him at Very Hard. Or do I? He's actually got a lot of stuff to him. You have to snipe a lot of stuff and know when to go in, like, because you're gonna go deep into the enemy team. I mean, if I'm putting Set and Talon in here, all right, we'll put him there. Yasuo, honestly, only no, I'm just kidding, guys. Truly, if you think Yasuo is anywhere besides pros only, I don't know what to tell you. There's this like weird stigma with champions like Akali, Yasuo, Katarina that are unbelievably difficult to play at a high level. But some people just say they're noob champions, and listen, I love the memes and all, and I think you guys are ridiculous and honestly somewhat delusional, but I gotta like do it to the best of my, like, I want this to be as legit as possible, so I'm sorry. But you know what? If you want to just like put him down here for a second and we'll take a screenshot and we can send it to our Yasuo main friends, then we'll go for it. Okay, now that he's back there. Yorick is going to be Gold Plus only. Not much to him, but he does have a lot of inherent little 1-2s, like auto Q. You gotta make sure you snipe, hit some skill shots and whatnot, and he's a good split pusher, which inherently requires game sense. So yeah, Yuumi. All right, boys, this is it. Yeah, this one's reserved for Iron players. Listen, if you want to, I don't want to hear skill and Yuumi in the same line, in the same sentence. It would just be a crime to use that. This champion is straight up for noobs. This champion, I could literally play on 2 accounts, have a laptop on my feet, and play Yuumi at the same time as I actually play a real champion. All right, I'm sorry. Actually, if you're a Yuumi main, come on, let's be real. There's not a toxic bone in your body. You're too busy fucking being on Netflix instead of playing League of Legends, because all you do is just press E. Anyways, no more flame. Let's move on. Zac is Gold Plus only. Not too crazy. Zed is Very Hard, but he's so close to pros only, but I don't think he's as hard as these champions. So, but like the fact of the matter is he has got some crazy mechanics to him. He's got very high style points. The style skill ceiling is nutty, and I love this champion, but I wouldn't feel right putting him up here. And since I'm doing that, I'm actually going to put Elise down here. I don't necessarily think this is the way to go, because honestly, this is such a clean pros only list, so we'll leave it at that. Next up, we have Ziggs, Gold Plus only. He can clear waves very well. He can throw skill shots and do some poke. He can even take towers pretty well. But at the end of the day, there's not much to him, really. If you don't know how to use your W to escape or like fly yourself away, I think that's probably his hardest mechanic. As someone who's played a lot of Ziggs in the past, Zillion, anyone can play. There's really nothing to him. He's got a double bomb. Okay, that's cool. that's it though. Zoe, gold plus only or higher. I hate this champion very much. Like, she is my least. If I could delete a champion from the game, it would be Zoe, and I'm not just saying that. Like, I really do despise her. But as a champion to play, she does take a good amount of skill. I hate how annoying she is when she gets that skill. Yeah. We're gonna keep it realistic. I'm not gonna put her for iron players. But please don't play Zoe. If you ever want to have like a family one day, or like a soul that's pure, don't play Zoe. Anyways, moving on to Zyra, gold plus only. She got some stuff to her. She's got a little bit too much in her kit to make her anyone can play, in my opinion. Lilia is very hard because of your spacing and using your ultimate at the correct time. She's actually going to getting a update pretty soon here. Fun fact, but if you're watching this video in like 2 months from now, she probably already did. Make her better for solo queue, less for pro play. But yeah, it's just the fact of the matter is Lilia's kiting and the way she spaces. She's a really short range champion. That requires a lot of skill. Any short range champion like a Kali, Lilia, it's not easy. It's really not easy. Next up we have Yone. I don't think Yone is as hard. What the heck is this? I don't think Yone is as hard as Yasuo. Yeah, he is. He honestly, yeah. They've got to be the same. Okay, yeah. This I feel comfortable putting him. He's very hard to play. Next up we have Samira. Very hard champion. Honestly, maybe pro only. Yeah. I don't think Samira's as hard as the rest of these champions, but I do want an 80 carry up here just to show that every role has got a champion that's insanely hard. You know, besides support, because that's LOL. It's not, yeah. Anyways, Seraphine, she got a little bit more than Sona, so I want to put her one tier list above Sona. But you could pretty much play her and get good at her in 5 games. I think that's the thing about this tier list is like you could play any of these champions within like 2 games. You'll pretty much like be able to master them. Maybe not so much Darius, but yeah, I think like pretty much, yeah. You can master any of these champions in like 2 games. I'll put Darius up here actually now since I said that. Yeah, I don't see a champion that is that hard here. Next up we have Rel. I haven't played much Rel to be completely honest with you, but I think she is going to be on the very hard for supports. I think she's got a lot to her. She's got a lot to her kit that is going to take some practice. And especially the more comfortable you get with her using that ultimate as well and dismounting and all that stuff, I think she's probably one of the hardest supports to play, if I had to guess. Then we have Viego, probably very hard. I'm not too familiar with him as a champion, but considering you have to know the kit of every single champion in League of Legends, considering you have to be able to have high attack speed and auto well, and combo your Q with your autos, and I'm gonna say very hard. I want to say very hard. He's pretty hard to play. Then Gwen, also very hard champion to play. Don't think she's the craziest mechanically difficult champion, but she does have a lot to her kit. And with that champion, that is the end of this. So guys, if you made it this far, comment down below one food you like. Just one food. It can be a snack or dinner. Leave a like if you made it this far, and subscribe if you haven't already, if you're new to the channel. And have a good day, guys. On to the next list soon. Peace.